and welcome to the One More Thing podcast. Today I'm joined with Dr. Larry Baucom. Thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure.
So we're in the Christmas Chaos series, always a good one.
It is.
So this week it was, I know you talked a little bit about in the beginning, like this, the overarching theme of this whole thing is just managing the chaos and the stress of the Christmas season. But these are really good values that we could be using all year long. But this one in particular was valuing others and the importance of that. What kind of sparked you to implement this one for this week?
Well, overall, when you think about chaos, which is the Greek word, and the antithesis of that is logos, which is order. So one is disorder, one is order. And John says, in the beginning was the logos, and the logos was with God. So in the beginning, and he goes back to the same understanding of in Genesis where the Spirit of God brooded over the chaos. So it really is a nice tie-in together. But when I think about Christmas, I think about, what are the essential things? I think calendaring is a big deal, finances is a big deal, and families. We have more family parties and gatherings than we probably do at any other time of the year. Sure. It's true for me.
Yeah.
And the irony is that following the teaching this weekend, we went home to 42 people, family members at our house for a big Christmas celebration, and then this week there'll be another celebration. So it's nice to be able to say, there are family issues, and sometimes people have said something that hurt your feelings somewhere, and too many people carry it for a long time. What I hear consistently after a teaching like this, and I've taught this type of thing before, is that I'm going to make the call.
Yeah.
Somebody said I haven't talked to my sister in 8 years.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make the call.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the first step because someone has to take the first step. And sometimes they don't even remember what the disagreement's about.
Yeah.
And life is too short, and family is family. Usually at funerals, all the family gathers because there's that old expression, blood's thicker than water. But let's see what we can do to keep our families intact. At least try the best we can to offer forgiveness and grace. And at Christmas time, we need a little more forgiveness and grace because we're dealing with our families.
Yeah, even yesterday, we obviously had church in the morning, and then we had Christmas Eve rehearsal right after church, and I came to the house. We had the big family gathering for the craft side at your place, and there's 42 people there, and I was ready to go home. I had a pounding headache, and I remember pulling you aside and just being, I got a massive headache. Yeah. I am so tired. I'm exhausted. But by the end of the party, we're just sitting out there and just talking, and I'm just looking around and looking at the family that's around me, and it was a really good time. It was just like, I'm so happy to be here. But it took that 1 second of just reminder and pause, remember, yes, this is way more important than going home and relaxing for a few hours in the afternoon. This was amazing. You have to be reminded of those things every once in a while. So
I think so. And we're fortunate to be a part of a wonderful family unit because there's so many people that have no family.
Yeah.
And they have no one. I would think about my buddy Walt Rogel. Mm-hmm. Walt didn't have, he had no siblings, no spouse. His mother died years before, and he was by himself. Yeah. And so there were more than once that he was invited to our Baucom family gatherings just because he had no family. But we're fortunate. And people would say, oh, these people drive me crazy, and they do. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you look back at your life and just thank God for all the things that happen, including families and including some dysfunction. Where I really love to see it benefit is when we can get rid of the toxic elements within the family structure.
Sure.
And sometimes that takes a lot of prayer and a lot of forgiveness and a lot of grace. But if someone takes the first step, most people are saying, man, I'd like to get this off my back too. So let's go on.
Yeah, no, that was a great reminder. And, this whole idea of valuing others really spoke to me this week just because of everything that's going on within the church world, especially within the month of December. For us, Christmas Eve is coming, and we're always we always feel that pressure of oh, it's got to be better than last year. It's got to, it's got to constantly be progressing forward. And this month is always really crazy. But listening to this message really resonated with me in the sense I need to tell every single person that's participating in this how thankful I am that they're dedicating their time and their energy, and they're sacrificing this time with their family to be a part of this Christmas Eve service. And the dedication that's required, I don't know if a lot of people realize, like the amount of work and time and energy that goes in the Christmas Eve season. And it was a great reminder. And so, like, as I finished watching, I'm like, I'm gonna send out a text to everyone just saying thank you for doing this, because you don't have to.
Yeah. And when you do that, you value them.
Exactly.
And sometimes when we don't do that, it's not that we're intentionally devaluing. It's not that we're devaluing. We're just not valuing. And those are different things too.
For sure.
But when I say devaluing, there's something that comes to my mind. Years ago, I used to be, when you pastor a small church, you do everything. I mean, you got to be the sound man. Mm-hmm. And you go back, you get to know quite a bit about the soundboard. And what can happen is, and I've seen pastors do this, and I've learned by watching, is I would never step into the sound booth and reach around TJ or Caleb and say, let me show you where the setting needs to be. Mm-hmm. Now I can say, it's a little loud.
Right.
Can you? And they'll adjust it. But to reach around them, I think that's a point of devaluing.
Sure.
These guys are professionals. They know what they need to do, and you can make suggestions. But when you take the guitar out of their hand and show them how to play it, or reach, I think it's just a little too much.
I agree.
And but those are life lessons, and some of these life lessons come with years of being stupid, or being toxic, or devaluing, and all of a sudden the light comes on and go, that's not just who I want to be.
Right.
And I want to apologize for that, and I'll do better.
Yeah.
And I think that's good for anybody here. Hey, that's on me. I could have done that better.
Yeah.
But rather than say, well, if you had just been smarter and you'd done this, then I wouldn't have to do this. That's not.
No.
That's devaluing still even more.
I 100% agree. And there was there was a moment this weekend. Stacy was leading the song "I Am Good," which the words on that one are so good. I think a lot of Christian music, especially worship music, is the resounding message is "I'm a piece of trash."
Yeah.
And it makes you really feel bad about yourself. This one it speaks differently, and I like that. It just says, "I am good because you say I'm good. I am worthy because you say I'm worthy." And it's sad that that's like a unique song within the Christian space.
It is very sad.
But you see, like, just when I was looking at the audience, and you just see people singing these words, and you see some people just like crying, because it's like, man, I don't tell myself this enough. Like, I am good. Like, I'm not a bad person. I'm not a dirty, rotten sinner. Yes, I make mistakes, but my overall, like, I'm a good person. And to see that, it just made me so thankful for the community, and so thankful for Suncoast. And I value this place a lot, because it is a good place, and it's helping a lot of people. And this message was just this resounding message of, take a second and look around your life and say, I'm thankful for these things.
Yeah. And I am chosen, and I am good, and I am blessed. I remember 20-something years ago, a lady came to me in one of the early Suncoast services, and she said, it's the first time I've ever heard that God values me.
Yeah.
And she's always heard the opposite. You know, you're a dirty, rotten sinner. You're just worth nothing. And unless you confess this, then you can become something of value. But before that,
yeah.
And it's this whole concept of a negative approach to humanity, which
Sure.
I don't think it's what Jesus taught. And so we want to follow more what he taught than what after the Jesus followers hundreds of years later, in an attempt to motivate people to do what they want them to do.
Sure.
In that negative, fear-based, negative vein. It's just, we can do better.
I agree. And then we, you ended the sermon with the story of your brother, Dennis.
Yeah.
That was a tearjerker.
Yeah.
That was a really impactful story.
Yeah, it's one of those that I still get teary about.
Yeah.
When I think about it. It's one of those things you lose a brother, and to my fault, there's the good Dennis and the bad Dennis. Mm-hmm. Just like there's the good Larry, there's a bad Larry.
Right.
Not everything we do is always good. And if you look back and go, this is but sometimes I just remembered the negative. Yeah. And I was rebuking myself years ago for saying, I want to remember the positive. The positive, where he's the tyrant, makes you change the oil in your car, but he's also the guy that bought me my first car. He's the guy that loaned me the car, loaned me the money for lawn service, and did this. And he taught me something as a young boy that I'll never forget. And one is you're a Baucom. And somehow my brother instilled in me the value of my family name.
Right.
And I will always thank him for that because I've taught my kids they're Baucoms. We don't do this because we're preachers' kids or because you should. We do it because we're Baucoms and we allow ourselves to live to a higher standard. And there's pride in that.
For
and
sure.
I think that's valuable. But my brother Dennis was instrumental in that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And the other things, I got lots of stories about him, but he was very successful, but also, seemed to always, if you went into business with him, I wouldn't. Because you might come out on the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
But he always came out okay.
Yeah.
But he just, but I always saw in his heart, I saw growing up, he had a tender heart for God. I've seen him weep many times, and I've seen him just ask God for forgiveness in his life. And that's the value. But he was a marketer. He was a business person. When I went to college, I was a business/religion major, and the reason I was a business major because of him.
Yeah.
And I took a lot of marketing because he suggested you need to take marketing, and so he really influenced my life in so many good ways. And we think back, we shouldn't just remember the one thing that happened that was negative, because there's so many positives, and let's put it all in one package and love him despite everything.
And that's so much better for your heart, you know, and especially now that he's gone, it's one of those things like, you don't want to just think back on the negative times. Like, it's going to help your heart to think back and reflect on the positives of that relationship and what he as a person was in your life.
Right.
That's only going to help your heart.
Now, when he died, he was 39. So you need to go 39. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Quite a bit older than that. But I have one other story, which is a little bit annoying. I'll tell this annoying story. I was at a church conference in West Palm Beach, and I was out. I knew my brother had taken pills. I'd seen him in Gainesville at Shands Hospital. I knew he was critical. I went to this conference. They said he's going to live, could be a week or two. He may come back because he had aspirated and his lungs were not absorbing oxygen. So I'm at this conference in West Palm Beach, and I go to dinner with some friends. Meanwhile, this is before cell phones. One of my siblings calls the conference and says, please let Larry Baucom know his brother's died. So I went out with a couple of friends, and Becky and I are coming back to the conference. Meanwhile, as we walk in, everybody, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. This district leader who got this message stood before the whole conference when I wasn't there and told everybody to pray for me because my brother had died, and I didn't even know. Now, I got to tell you, that was I wasn't thinking real warm and fuzzy for that guy.
I'm sure.
I wanted to say, look, you violated some issues here. And I had to really go inside of myself and do some forgiveness for that guy.
Yeah,
to say,
I'm
look,
sure.
You're a good guy, but you screwed up here.
Yeah.
And he was apologetic, and because I'm a guy that says, this is not right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. But in my life, it's helped me to say, don't do those kind of things. Don't damage people, devalue people, hurt people. Let's help people and love people. And, my life journey has been one of continual reevaluation. Do not devalue value.
Yeah, that's all of us. That's all of us.
And I still fail.
Sure.
But at least I say I screwed that up. I could do better.
So we've got one more week of Christmas chaos. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you don't want to tell everybody what.
No.
But let's promo the Christmas Eve services because they are going to be amazing. So Christmas Eve services, what are the times again?
3, 4:30, and 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And it's about a 45-minute service. It's got music, carols, a little drama, candle lighting. It's magical. In 45 minutes, it is cram-packed full of fun and a great addition to anyone's Christmas Eve celebration. Just stop by. It doesn't take long. And you can slip in and out. You get to light a candle and see some things and sing some songs, and you'll chuckle a little bit too. Yeah. But it'll be a great addition to your Christmas Eve event.
Awesome.
And then the last service of the year, there is no service. There will be a devotional online that I'll be able to give you. But then everybody takes a break on the 26th, and then we start back again in the new year.
Amazing. Well, Pastor, thank you so much for being on One More Thing.
My pleasure.